I need a motion to approval of minutes for February 24th.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, before we do approval of agenda, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and allow D to go after A, so Mark doesn't have to sit through another 2-hour meeting. And also add Alan Gill to discuss the decentralized system and their committee and what they've come up with.
I make a motion, Mr.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Approval of agenda? Public comment.
Have one, Mr. Chairman. Beverly Saylor from Moore-Trace. If you would, state your name, address, and I guess your first district, so.
Yes, I am First District. I'm Beverly Saylor from over in Moore-Trace, Tennessee. I live back on Kellertown Road, which is just across the creek from the quarry that's over there. And I have to tell you guys that there is a mess in this county. Any farmer that has any farm that's 15 or more acres can make a whole lot more money selling rock than they can raising cattle or raising crops. I am told that the quarry there on Fairfield Pike is going to make the family $1 million a year. In the process, they got their permits for lakes or ponds, but nobody is monitoring the process of those lakes or ponds. They're not progressing. They're hauling dump truck after dump truck after dump truck of aggregate material out of those quarries every day. They're putting those trucks on the roads. They're endangering our school children. They're tearing up the highways. There should be a mineral extraction fee because they're pulling the limestone out of the ground.
Can I interrupt you, please?
You sure
I
can.
appreciate everything you're saying, but we need to make sure that's on the agenda and that's not up for discussion tonight.
That's not a 3-minute comment that's allowed?
If we are discussing that matter, that
Okay.
is not up for discussion
Well-
tonight. So when it's on the agenda, we ask that you please come back.
Okay, I will certainly do that. Can you explain to me how to get on the agenda?
Mr.
Go ahead,
Chairman,
Chris.
if you could inform her that if she wants to be put on the agenda, she can just see me or send me an email and tell me the nature of it, which I understand the nature of it.
Okay.
If she wants to be on the next month's
So
meeting, I can
if
put
you
her
want to
on.
speak about a situation, all we need you to do is call Chris's office and speak to Barbara, and we'll
Perfect.
get you on the agenda and give you your time to speak.
Thank you very much, and I will be back next month if it works out that way.
I'm sorry. So anyway, this subdivision, Sky Ridge, was approved in 2001, a year before the county passed zoning. So it was approved on our subdivision regulations, but not from a zoning perspective. And so we don't allow private roads, gated roads in our subdivision regulations today or in zoning, but this one was approved that way as a gated private road. Subsequently, the subdivision was never fully developed. If you can remember what kind of happened right after 2001 when the prices were getting really high, and then we had a collapse in the market and a big major recession. So this thing sat undeveloped this whole time, and then it changed ownership. It went to a church, and the church, they never built the road. The road never got built. It was basically the base was put down, the base stone was put down, and it was a good base that was put in. It's still in good shape. But the road was never put in. A church bought it. They built a few little like temporary structures they use for camping for kids and things like that. Recently, it changed hands. The Curl brothers purchased it. They don't intend to build any of the houses. This is not in their market. They build smaller houses. They want to sell these lots, and so they've been working on the road. They've been working with Mark, and Mark can tell you a little bit more about the road if you're interested in it. But essentially what they want to do is they just want to amend the plat so that it becomes a county, gets approved as a county road, and then they intend to put it in and finish it as a county road to our county road, our modern county road specs, not what they would have been in 2001. So if you have any questions about it, Mark, if you're willing to, if you want to talk to them about what you've seen out there.
Yes, hello y'all. I've not seen you all day, haven't we? The Curl brothers contacted me after they bought this property, and they figured out that this was going to be a private road, but they didn't want a private road. So what I told them was they would have to get with Chris, and they would, if they wanted it to be a public road, they would have to come back to the planning commission, get y'all to reapprove and amend the plat to make it a public road. But he would have to put it in by county standards, and I would have to look at everything and put it in. So they started working on that. That's what they was wanting to do before it's got here. So I told them if they was going to do that before it gets here, I need to come out and do my inspections all the way through it. So they have went in and built that road to my county regulations, put an extruded curb on it for the drainage. It is a very good road, and if y'all want to amend the plat, I don't have a problem with that. And if y'all do that tonight, then I'll sign the paperwork with Chris tomorrow, and I'll make it a public road at that point.
So one more interesting thing about this, Stanley had actually signed the plat on this road. The whole thing was approved, which is atypical of, a road that never gets completed. But we don't really know. Stanley's not around to explain it to us. But there were some street lots that front the street, and we don't really know how that all happened, and there's no way to know. We just know that the whole thing got approved. And because of that, it's a subdivision. It's always going to be a subdivision. Had that not happened, there's a time period that goes by if it's undeveloped that it's rescinded automatically, but it won't happen in this particular case. So so anyway, basically what we're asking, or what he's asking, and we're going along with it, because I think it's probably the best thing for let's just say from a consumer protection point of view, people buying lots in the subdivisions, way better off for them if it's a county road. And so we're recommending that you guys revise the plat, approve the plat as a revision, and then once that happens, then he can get all the signatures on it, and then Mark can sign it, and it'll be a done deal. The road's already done. So.
And contrary to, I've had a lot of call from the neighborhoods out there at Whiteside Hill. There was rumors it was going to be 40 lots and 60 lots and 25 lots. It's only a 13 lot subdivision is what it will wind up being on that part. And we dug back, Chris and myself, we worked on this for I guess a week, wasn't it? And we dug back and found all the documentation, which helped us. Luckily, we did find everything. But that's when I told them, if you want to build that to the county standards, I'm fine with making that a public road, because I'd rather it be a public road. So if they're going to sell those lots off, at least the private individual can't do whatever they want to with the road and put a gate up or do something like that to it.
Mark, I had a couple of questions. Is the top coat completed on the
Yes,
road? So
he's
there is
completed.
no performance bond required?
No.
My
But
second question is, I read where the gates are going to maintain to be open.
Yes.
Is there going to be an HOA established to maintain that entrance and the gate and the?
Yeah, and Chairman, I talked with the Curls and told them since they was going to finish it completely out like that, but they are going to give me a year warranty on that road. So after it sells, if anything happens to that road in the next year, it's their responsibility to fix.
So is Greg going to stay head of the HOA until the development's built out, or are they going to establish a new HOA?
We would assume they would stay in charge of it until they're out of the game. That's how it's typically done.
I think that's important that we know that.
I have a question. What's that common area? There's a lake there?
That is a pond. It's already there. It's already functioning. It's been there this whole time.
Well, there's no access to it.
Oh, yes, sir, it is. It is. From the road, they can walk over there, the grass area up on the top part of it.
If you look at this plot, you cannot get to that without going through somebody's property.
Those are easements. They're already approved. They're part of the original plat. Those are easements or walking trails, and people can walk, anybody can walk on them.
I thought I saw a note where those easements were coming out, being deleted.
I can't answer that. I haven't seen the new one, so I just looked at the old one.
Where do you see that at? Well, you can approve the revision along with, if you want to make sure that there's some, I agree there should be, I hadn't even noticed that note in there because I was so familiar with the other plat, but, that they're taking those out of there, but it really needs to have at least a 20-foot easement to get to, at least from the road, just for maintenance, if nothing else. Even though the pond is 25 years old, it's functional, it's stabilized. It's not like a brand new pond that's got, somebody's got to go in there all the time.
Yeah, I don't question that. I just, you know, if it's in a subdivision, somebody needs to maintain it. They need to be able to maintain it without going through, the neighbor's property.
I think what I would suggest in your motion is that you would approve that a revision to the plat of it becoming a county, authorized as a county road, with the condition that there be a 20-foot easement between lot 10 and lot 13 for maintenance access to the detention pond. Well, do you see the hatched area there on the plan itself? I didn't see that. Oh, no, I see. That's something different, though. Oh, I see it. Yeah, if you go to the roundabout, you'll see that there is a 20-foot ingress-egress easement coming from the roundabout down towards towards lot 10, and then it takes a dog leg to the common area from there. So they have accounted for that. No, it's just an easement, access easement for maintenance. That's all it is. It's just 20 foot. There used to be a walking trail you can see all the way around it, and they've hatched that out.
We're thinking and talking at the same time.
We're old.
Can't do two things.
Each one of them is C6, 50-foot, all these.
That's 50 and that's 50.
Okay. On the easement legend, the 20-foot riding path and nature trail is abandoned by the plat. That's this perimeter. That's this perimeter notation. The blue, the light blue, it says it says drainage and utility easement 20 feet unless otherwise noted. That's these blue areas. And there's several of those. This next one, 20-foot ingress and egress easement to common area that leads from the roundabout towards lot 10, then then turns left towards the common area. That solves that problem. And then next is, you'll see an area, looks like it's stone, sort of 10-foot easement to fountain for electrical service. They're supposed to put a fountain in the pond. That's what that's for.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, so if I'm understanding that right, lot 10, which has a 50-foot access on the roundabout, loses 20 feet of that 50 feet because of this easement.
Correct.
You'll lose.
Lot 10 has
Lot 10's got a road in. They're out here
But
on
it also
Whiteside.
has access to the roundabout.
Well, yeah.
You don't
Nice.
lose it, it's just an easement.
It's just the,
Yeah,
it's
it's just an easement.
Then he has access to the main road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty, I think it's steep.
Do all three of those lots have access via the main road?
I don't think that access is too good, I think it's a
Oh.
steep access.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
It is.
Yeah.
Might get a four-wheeler up it. It goes up and down.
Yeah,
It goes like this.
This is top of the hill right here,
Yeah.
this is real
Oh.
high.
This is real
Yeah.
high.
Okay.
This is,
Skyview.
Skyview, it's
Okay.
real
and
high.
then it dips.
So Reed, do you have a motion to make?
No.
Okay.
Jeff, one more question. Are these gonna be, septic tanks?
Yeah, there's not sewer up there.
Yeah, it's all septic.
But it's not a step system?
No,
No steps.
individual septic.
All right.
I'll keep pushing this button and I don't have to anymore. I don't know why I'm doing it.
Only down thing I say is across from Barry Cooper, that's the one.
Hey, he had an opportunity to buy it. It's not like I don't eat breakfast with him just about every day, so, yeah, I aggravated him about it for a month at least.
Any other comments?
This is not something we're seeing, it's just us approving it, making it.
You just approve it and to amend the plat to have
Public.
change it from a private road to a public road.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Motion.
Who was first?
Alan,
Alan.
I'm second.
I did.
Lynn.
Okay, Mark, you're back up.
I'm checking the weather, I swear. Okay. What am I up here next for? I don't have an agenda or anything.
Your,
the permit,
culvert.
the okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Let me give you just a short history, because I've been in meetings, I don't want to talk very long, so, and hold everybody here. In the past, the county has always put, for the property owners here, the county has always said, you buy the culvert, we'll put the culvert in and furnish you a load of grop. We've been having a lot of trouble, I have, not we, the highway department, with new homes being built, people buying property, putting driveways in. They'll go in, build a house, concrete the driveway, and never put a culvert in a ditch. And then I start getting all the phone calls from the neighbors because the water is not running and it's flooding their places. Met with Chris about this. He's on, I don't want to speak for him, but he's on board with this. He thinks this is something that we've needed for a long time. Spoke with Amy, with Codes. She thinks this is a great idea. So what I wanted to implement, and it passed the finance committee tonight and going to the commission next month, is I want to put a driveway permit in place. I didn't have I don't have a lot of problem with the private person that's been living here on the farm. I've worked since I've been in office to get everybody's attention. Call my office, let me come size it, make sure you do put the right size culverts in. But it's all the new development. That's where we're having. You've got subdivisions went in. They're building 30 houses in a subdivision, and out of those 30, there might be 20 that has driveway covers, 10 that don't. Or it could get in there and it'd be half and half, or it could be only 5 puts covers in. People building new homes. I was riding yesterday looking at a place, and as I was going, I went by 12 new home constructions that the driveway's already completed with no culverts in it. So I know I'm gonna have drainage issues, with that. So what I wanted to put in place is where, and I've already talked with Chris and Amy, and they're gonna add this to their system in codes and planning. So when someone comes and they pay their developer fees or their home building fees when they get ready to build a house, my driveway permit's gonna be a part of that. I will have to sign off on that has been completed before they get COs to move into those homes. That was a great idea of Chris's and Amy's, to do that. So what I wanna do is implement this. I'm putting a $50 fee in, and that pays for me to send my guys and their time, cause it'll take 2 days basically, to go look at it, then we go back when they're putting it in, basically 3 days, and then we go back and look at it when it's finally completed, and I'll sign off on it and approve it and send the paperwork to Chris and Amy. Another caveat to this, I guess the timing, was my thing, but I had just received a notification from CTAS and the state that by the county doing what we do with the culverts for the private individuals, that we was breaking the state law. We can't do that anymore. So they have basically instructed me to stop that null and void. So this is gonna come into play at the perfect timing where we're not going out putting these things in, where we know it's made sure it's put in right. So what I think Chris wants to do, and I like to do, is have this added to our subdivision regs so everybody knows that this is part of it. So a developer comes in, has got a 40-lot subdivision, he knows he's gonna have to pay for those 40 driveways that's gonna be accessing the county road.
So Mark, can you size those culverts?
Yes.
Before we sign off on it?
Yes.
Okay, and that'd be part of your,
Well,
before you sign the plat, you'll say it's an 18-inch culvert, how
Well,
wide it's gotta be.
yes.
The
and-
problem I'm seeing is people are putting in a 18-inch culvert on a 2-lane road,
Yeah,
and they really need to be 24 feet.
yes.
And so people are turning in, I pick on Greg Vick all the time,
Yeah.
'cause you lose a tire going in his driveway.
Yeah,
So
you do.
I think not only the size, diameter of the culvert, but the length
And
of
the
the
length
culvert.
too. And that's all, it's all in that regulation that I've got that's gonna be approved. I've got the lengths and the size, a minimum, I put a minimum size of 12-inch where nobody can just go in there and stick a 6-inch, PVC pipe in that's never gonna carry any water. I think Chris has looked over this, and if Chris didn't give me no comments back on it that he wanted something changed, I guess I've done a halfway decent job with it. So
He ain't had
he
time to read it.
didn't send me a 3-page report about I need to change one thing in the report. But this is something I think procedure-wise that we've needed for a long time to where we can stay on top of a lot of the different things like that. So hopefully, I think this'll help the whole situation and help the entire county.
So reading your permits, if it's new construction, it will go through Amy and Chris's office.
Mhm.
If it's an existing home, they come to your office.
Yes, yes. If someone already has it, and they've already got their house there, but they want to redo their driveway and put a cover, they'll just come to the highway department, and I'll go out and make sure that everything's sized and done, and they'll pay me through my office. If they come into me, if they come to Chris or come to Amy and they have to go through their procedural things, they will notify me that Jeff Sweeney is gonna build a house on X road, and I go out and I look at it and I get them all the information back, and everything's handled through that way.
So let me be the devil's advocate.
I figured you probably would.
What's gonna happen if somebody does pour a driveway, no culvert? How do we deal with that?
Well, the main thing, he's not gonna sign it for the CO.
Yeah.
Unless it's there. So that means they gotta figure that out themselves, but I would say they'd be cutting the concrete, putting it in there in the corner.
Okay.
over top of it.
I do have the authority as the road superintendent to, if someone slips through the cracks, hopefully by, most of the problem, like I said, is new construction. Hopefully by them not being able to get their CO to where they can sell that house to X over here, that's gonna stop a lot of what you got, cause there's a lot goes on like that.
So I was reading your permit,
Mhm.
there's nothing in there that says that
Nope.
they're responsible, so I just,
No, it does say they're responsible for maintenance and everything else
Yeah.
on the driveway. So,
but
but,
are they responsible if you go out there and they've got a no culvert, concrete driveway? We have the right, or you have the right
yes,
at their expense. I think we need to make sure that's in the permit.
Well, if you don't mind, me putting this in there, essentially the reason why I put it on the agenda for you guys, cause he's already taken it to the county commission and see what the board of commissioners has to say about it, and I think, since he's not allowed to put them in anymore, I think that I'm sure it'll pass. The reason why I wanted you guys to see it is because I wanna put it in our sub.
Mhm.
And I think when we get to that point, and should be
Yeah.
able to come to you next month and I'll draft it myself, and then what we'll do is we'll make sure we put those things in there. The main thing is too, is that I think that rather than Mark have it on the front end, having the size of pipe, I think the engineer should be
Yeah.
responsible for sizing the pipe, and then Mark sign off on
Right.
it to ensure that
I like that.
the size of the pipe is correct for the road.
Well, and the last two developments that has become before y'all, me and Chris got together on that, and we come up with that. So I require the engineer that was doing the subdivision for them to size all the pipes and links and all, where it meets all the subdivisions. So it takes it off of Chris or myself, either one.
So are we changing it? So I know Mark brought it up at finance today. Is that going before the commission in May?
Yes.
And so how do we get it, if it's approved?
But, our subregs don't go before the board of commissioners. It's just
We can
handled here.
put detail, we
Right.
can
I
put
just
more
wanna- I
detail
don't
in.
want
Yeah.
people, that would be my concern. They're saying, well, the commission approved this and now you're doing this.
Mhm.
So we've got probably 6 months of going through all of our comprehensive plan and our subdivision regs. I wanna make sure we discuss that now before
Yeah.
somebody says, well, I started my house in September and you approved this in November. What guidelines am I going by?
Well, my plan is, because I've gotta get with Chris and Amy and them, and they gotta get it in their system and stuff, so my plan is to enact this July 1.
Okay.
So anything that's going on now, we'll try to do what we've been doing since I've been in the office, and then we'll move forward from that. The good thing about y'all adding this to the subregs is we can change some of the wording, about that part you're talking about, because that's been a concern of mine. Chris will tell you, I brought this up myself numerous times about how do we do that. I really didn't want to put it in this version that I'm gonna have to get approved by commission, because my jurisdictional powers on the other side, I can go out and make Jeff Sweeney,
Why you keep calling me? Alan's over here, he's involved in real estate.
but
I don't know, I
he's,
ain't got
he,
no money to build a house.
yeah, he's not gonna build the houses, you're building the houses.
Well, I just wanna make sure, maybe we
Yeah.
need to look at putting it at a stage that
Mhm.
Amy can check it. I'm just looking out for the everyday Joe that builds his own house.
Yeah, I know.
And, he's gonna put his driveway in probably after sheetrock, so
Yeah.
at framing, we say, okay, you got your gravel in, you got your culvert, it's
Yeah.
18 inch, you're good to go.
Me and Amy's already talked about that, and that's what she said, when she goes and they go and inspect, as they doing their procedural stuff through the house, she said if they're already trying to put the driveway in and put some gravel, I said, them putting gravel in is not an issue. I said, but when they start getting closer to the finish, you need to be going and I'll be going by, and we need to make sure we remind them, hey, don't forget, you gotta do this, or you can't get your COs. That's gonna be the good thing about it, is the CO is gonna be the catch-all.
Yeah.
But the regular Joe out here that's gonna redo something in his driveway and stuff, my other jurisdictional powers as road superintendent is I can come out, as long as it's in the right of way, I can require you to do X if you're
Yeah.
making, doing something
I just
bad.
don't wanna see somebody spend $10,000
Me either.
because they didn't understand.
No,
Mr.
me
Chairman?
either, me either.
I have a question.
Mr. Farmer?
So, the subdivision revisions that we just looked at on that sky, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that road is gonna be a finished road
Mm-hmm.
before those houses get built.
Yes.
which is not normal for us.
It's not this, and I'll be honest with you, Reed, this whole thing, I think Chris will agree with me, this has been a anomaly of what we had to deal with through the whole
That
thing.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Okay, so then there could be somebody that bought 5 acres on a finished county road.
mm-hmm.
So who has authority on how the driveway ties into
Me,
the county road?
I have
they still have an
100%
easement.
authority.
And how does the builder know what he's supposed to do when he does that?
We should have this enacted and in place before that, because they're not having the
I mean,
auction.
is there cut sections, are there plans, are there?
No, there's no plans for driveways. Cause
So-
what they done on this one, there wasn't original places for driveways
But we
when it
don't
was
have,
passed.
what I'm saying is he can cut that in any way he wants to,
Mm-mm.
and you can come out and say, you don't like that, but you didn't give him a standard to build that by.
No, that is gonna be, I've already took care of, I think of that problem, cause I've thought the same thing. I've already talked with the Curls, and when they have the auction, that is gonna be one of the announcements that they make at the auction before, when you buy this, before you get ready to do anything with driveways, you have to go through the highway department and get it approved on where you can put it and what you have to do. So they are gonna make that announcement at the auction. Now, that doesn't mean they're gonna do it,
Yeah, exactly.
so, but the what ifs, I can't cover every single base, cause we all know somebody could slip and do
So
something.
let me, okay, let me ask one other question.
Mhm.
That's got curb and gutter.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, so they're gonna have to do a curb cut.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are we requiring them to pour 9 inches at the curb for the driveway?
Not 9 inches, I done 4 in
At the-
this right here.
At the road entrance?
At the road entrance, has to be 4. And if it's, and on all those lots have slope to where any driveway's gonna go. So if you look at this, I have added something that's never been done. I've done this basically on the city side, and I wanted to bring it over here, is if that driveway is sloped up, we all know when we have a rain like we had last night, my road's gonna run all out there in the road. So, and then you're not gonna go out there and clean it up, so I got to go run around and clean the roads up. If that's put in new on a slope of 3% or more, it has to be hard surface. That means concrete or asphalt. So that should stop a lot of these places that we have a lot of these places, especially out there, in the Bell Boca area. There's a lot of that. I have a lot of rock washage out in the road, so it should stop that problem going forward. I didn't say
Mark,
your house.
this is the only place I've ever lived where you're not required to pour 9 inches
Mm-hmm.
at the inlet of a driveway. Cause
Yeah.
if you have, these are not wide roads, somebody backs a truck
Mm-hmm.
on 4 inches of concrete and it weighs 10 tons, it's gonna crack it.
Yeah.
And then the homeowner said, well, I didn't cause it.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something we can go through as part of what we're fixing to start?
Yeah, when you guys get, I'll bring it to you as a template, and just like we always do on these suburbs, we'll muddle through it just like we always do, and if you guys wanna make it 9 inches, then anything above what he wants it to be at least 4, so anything
Okay.
above that, I'm sure he's happy.
I'm just trying to look long term.
Yeah.
These are probably gonna be $700,000-800,000 homes.
Yep.
And I hate to see a nice neighborhood and cracked up driveways.
Yeah.
Because Amazon or whoever,
Yeah.
UPS backs up in the driveway, turn around and they got a
Yeah.
15 tons.
The other thing we wanna put in there is that he, as the road superintendent, like once the preliminary plat comes in and it's got the preliminary design, he has the ability to make them move the driveway.
Okay.
Say it comes out on a different side of the lot or something, let's just say it's a traffic issue where
Yeah.
the driveway, the way they have it planned, comes out too close to an intersection, he can move that, he can have them move that, so that way the driveway goes where it needs to go for safety purposes rather than where they decide they want to go.
Hey, Mark, are these the people that supply the tiles and the stone, are they ever given notice of the new, changes?
Yes,
Because
yes, I've took care of letting them know
they're-
going
they're
forward
stopping at the source of
that was gonna be that I was putting these new regulations in. I told them, I said, my plan is to try to have them in place by July 1. That's when we'll start going by them, and the fees and all will have to be put in.
That may stop that.
So it's helped a little bit, because I have got phone calls that's went to Clanton's or Co-op or whatever, 'cause that's about the only two places you
Yeah,
can get them
that's
here in
where they got
town,
me.
and they say, I went to Co-op and blah, 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 I can't say I went to Clanton, but went to Co-ops and done whatever it was.
Yeah,
I've tried to cover all the bases, I know I'm gonna miss some, and something's gonna happen through the cracks, but
we could get creek gravel and throw it in there, you don't even know it.
So right now, you're basically hadn't got anything till July the 1st.
well, no, I don't have anything in writing, no, sir. So, yes, I guess that's a true statement, yes, sir.
Okay, just wondering when.
I can tell you to do it, but when you say, show me where you got that, I can't show you. So that's why I need that backup, I guess.
So if you guys want me to move forward and draft something for the subregs for this month, then
Yeah.
just vote on it, tell me what to do, and
And when Chris brings it back to you, just make sure I know, and I'll be here and we can discuss and we can do anything, look at whatever, anything you wanna do that may fit the development world that maybe I have forgot about or maybe you left out or something. I'm fine with that.
So, any other comments?
I have another question for Mark, not on this. Have you given, cause Chris is working on the subdivision regs and the subdivisions, have you given thought to the width of a road for, more than 5 plot flat?
for a major subdivision.
Yeah, for a major subdivision.
And the thing, so you'll know the context is anything over 5 lots for us is what we call a major subdivision.
Right.
Yeah.
And it
so-
doesn't have to include a new road, but I think what we're talking about would be developments that have, where there's a new road that's built.
Where it's got an infrastructure,
Yes,
not just 5 lots across a road, yeah.
right.
Where you've got a road going in, you gotta pull back out. to
Right,
it.
right.
I have thought about that, Chris and me have talked about that a little bit. It's
What does
hard.
it take to get a dually going down the road and a hay rake
You
coming
basically,
at it?
basically, and I'm not trying to skid around the answer, but I have to skid around it a little bit. I think Chris, me and him have been skidding
Yeah,
on
I
this
wanna
a
hear the
bunch.
answer to this myself, okay?
If you're looking at somebody pulling a trailer and trying to get into, let's just say a driveway or turn into the road, go into a subdivision, the optimal width that it can be done needs to be no lower than 18 feet. You can make that maneuver, but saying that, it's all dependent on where the access point that you're trying to get into is. It's hard to say 18 feet, or it's hard to say 20 feet or 22, because it's all dependent on where the access point is you're trying to get to. So if you're on Rippy Ridge and subdivision goes in, and that road is basically 16 feet wide. If you're gonna go up there and somebody's gonna go in there and do work, build a house, you're gonna run off in the grass pretty good trying to get in on anywhere on Rippy Road, unless it's just straight into where it's at. But if it's a good 20-lot development, I hate to be the reason to stop a development in a good spot for development, because Chris is gonna handle that part. If he doesn't think it's a good spot, he's probably gonna talk them out of trying to do something and maybe buy this other piece of property or do whatever. But basically, the optimal size of the width of the road really needs to be 18 feet. All the roads that I'm putting in, that I've put in since I've been here on oil chipping and everything and paving, whatever, we have done some 16, I've done 14-foot roads, because we do have a lot of those out there. And when we go in to redo the roads, I always get them out to 18 feet. And when we shoot them, we always shoot them 18 feet. Now, grass will grow over the years and stuff, and it'll get it back down to 14 feet or 16 feet. But the optimal, I guess, width would probably be 18 feet.
Okay.
If that makes sense what I'm saying. I know I went a long way around it, but
Okay. Chris, you wanna do the staff recommendations and then?
Yeah, we're gonna take care of Kenneth's in-service first.
Yeah, I got my 4 hours.
Yeah, just let you know, Kenneth Reed got his 4 hours of in-service training for
And the cats enjoyed it with me.
yeah. So I need you guys to vote on approving his
Yep.
hours of in-service.
Do we have a motion to approve Mark's request?
I so move.
Second? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, the last thing on the item, last item on the agenda is gonna be this comprehensive plan draft. Long time awaiting, since COVID, since before COVID.
Thank you.
We just did.
Thanks, Mark.
Is that the- oh,
And,
I know it's the driveways, but Ken.
you guys, I went ahead and sent it to you by email, except for Ken, and for some reason his email got rejected to me, but you guys should all have a digital copy, and tomorrow I'll make sure he gets a digital copy. That way you have something to work from if you'd rather work from your computer or if you wanna do this, but, at the end of the day, there's a lot to digest in here, and what we need to do, is work our way through it in bites, and so the first section is gonna be the existing conditions section, so it's not as critical. I mean, I think everybody needs to read it and go over it and make sure that that you agree with everything in there, that you at least to get acknowledged that the existing conditions and what they are. If nothing else, it just kinda helps you understand what all the existing conditions are. But then kinda how it lays out how it lays everything out, and then but the main big meaty section that you're gonna get to with the first one would be the population and employment element, which essentially gives us our demographics and what we're working with and that kind of stuff, and, it'll also have some existing maps and things like that, and tables and lots of data items in it. But what we'll need to do, I think, is, beginning at the next meeting, is be prepared to discuss, if nothing else, the existing conditions and probably the population and employment demographic section. And then, anything that you guys could come up with that you would think of is either a recommendation for an amendment or a deletion or an addition, anything at all that you get. And then when we have the meeting, of course, from a parliamentary procedures format, we vote on the things that that you guys want to recommend as amendments. From there, until we get the whole thing worked through, I don't plan on making any revisions to the document at all. What I want to do is just keep up with and have a spreadsheet of all the things that you guys vote on that you think of as amendments. Because once the planning commission gets done with this, then I need to do the public engagement section, where I'll be having meetings, it'll be outside of this arena, and having special called meetings out in the public and I'll try to hold them at different times and in different places so that I can get as much public participation as possible. And I'll do as much as I can on social media to get the word out, to try to get the attendance up as well. But we need to get as much public engagement as possible for this, where they will be able to do the same thing that you guys do. The public will have the same opportunities that you guys do to go over it bite by bite until we get to the end of it. And they've had an opportunity to make recommendations as well. Again, stuff they don't like, they want to take out. Stuff they want to put in there, they don't think we put in there. Stuff they want to tweak or whatever. At the end of the public engagement session, that I will come back with this plan again to you guys. At the end of the day, it's your plan. You guys will then look at what you recommended originally through the lens of what the public made recommendations. That way you're fully aware of the things that the public's concerned about, the things that they're interested in, things that they want to do, and maybe you look at this with that due context, and then you decide what you want to do in terms of, you then give me my hours, you vote on what you're going to actually order me to do. I'll go back, amend the plan accordingly, bring it back, and you guys can adopt it. Once the plan is adopted, then you'll recommend that I send it to the Board of Commissioners for their review. The Board of Commissioners they're not required to adopt it. They can adopt it. Some Board of Commissioners don't like to adopt these type of plans, and I'll tell you, there's a very good reason why. What you guys do is at the administrative level of government, so you guys have to follow the law, you have to follow the procedures, you have to do what basically the TCA tells you have to do. Board of Commissioners are elected officials, and so they they're allowed to represent their constituents. They're allowed to vote for something or against something without giving you a reason why. You guys have to state the reasons why, when you make a motion, why you're voting for something or why you vote against it. Board of Commissioners doesn't have to do that. So if the Board of Commissioners if they end up liking what's in it, and if they want to, politically, if they feel like they want to hold the future county commissions accountable to it, they can adopt it. If they don't, they don't have to do that. And the reason why that they might not do it, okay, so at this level, you guys have to follow the laws, you have to do everything you're supposed to do anyway. If the Board of Commissioners were to adopt it, and then let's just say a rezoning comes up, and you guys have supported that zoning, or if you guys were against a zoning and maybe the Board of Commissioners wanted to approve a rezoning that you guys didn't think should be favorable. Either way, whatever's in this plan, if they've adopted it and they don't follow it, nothing bad happens to them. It's not against the law, but what it does is it gives that person a means to file suit against the county because the county commission didn't follow their own adopted rules. That's what it does. And so, when it gets to that stage, I'll make sure I explain that to the Board of Commissioners so they understand kind of what they're getting themselves into. But they still need to see it. They still need to go over it and make a decision for themselves of what they decide they want to do. So that's kind of how I see us doing this. Again, it's a lot to take into, and there's a whole lot of, like I said, tables and data and presumptive maps and things like that of future growth areas and stuff like that. So those are things that you might want to take home and kind of zoom in on them and see what that map's really trying to do, because if it's in this book, it's pretty small. But I have the ability to blow them up. And in fact, I will do that. In fact, I was talking about that right before we started the meeting. Once we get to these sections where there will be a map, I'll make sure the map is big enough where you guys, when I bring it into the room, you guys can actually orient yourselves to the map, and you can see what it is that you're recommending, and you know exactly what parcels would be included in those areas as well. And I guess the biggest takeaway from this for the public and for you guys is to know that a comprehensive plan doesn't change any rules on its own. It doesn't say this is going to be zone, we think this ought to be zone commercial or a C1 or C2 or this be ag, or it doesn't do any of that in terms of, doesn't change anything. What it does is it's a growth plan where you use it as a guide. The Planning Commission uses it as a guide when you're making your decisions over the next 20 years. It's a 20-year plan. And so when you're trying to make decisions on these important issues, at least you have some guidance, something that not only that you have studied and this current Planning Commission has studied in depth, and you've given it the amount of time and the amount of effort that is needed to make these decisions, but the public has done the same thing. And you know what that is, and you know what those recommendations are. When you make your decisions, you'll be making those final decisions based on what you believe and also what the public wants and believes. So it's a very important document in those terms, but at the end of the day, the document itself doesn't make any changes at all. It just says, here's how we think, here's how the people in the county and the Planning Commission believe the county should grow. And of course, it's a big hot topic of conversation right now is responsible growth. We know at the Planning Commission level, and a lot of people do know this, some people don't, but you know, people's land use rights are in the Constitution. And so if we have a very narrow window of things that we can do to make decisions on zonings. And those are always going to be in three categories: public health, public safety, public welfare. That's not just a state law. That is when the Supreme Court decided in favor of municipal and county zoning in 1935. They put that in the Supreme Court decision. So that's how we frame those things. And so we don't get to pass local rules just willy-nilly. We have to rein it into those things. And so if we act outside of that, if we act outside of the Fifth Amendment, the government looks at that like that's a taking. That's a government taking of a person's land. And that means we have to pay them for that. So if you over-regulate a person's property, if you put too many rules and too many constraints on a person's property and it devalues the property in any way, or if it puts so many constraints on it that they can't use it and enjoy it the way that they want to use it and enjoy it, and you can't find a nexus to connect public health, safety, and welfare to it, that's a taking. And we have to pay them for it. The taxpayer has to pay them for their land. And so we have to be very careful about what we do. And so through that lens, I think that for the next 20 years, we have to be very careful not only about making sure we follow the Constitution, but also, and we look out for people's property rights, but we also have to say, okay, where is the line from where one person should be allowed to do what they want to do, and then versus how what they want to do affects and impacts the next door neighbor or the neighbors on either side, and does what you want to do, does that have a negative impact on those people? Because essentially that's the public welfare part of it. And that's kind of that, public safety, where earlier we were talking about driveway permits and things like that. We've talked about access management for the highways before, and we'll get to that. We've got a lot of things stacked up to give you this year. So we're talking about things that we can do for public safety to cut down on traffic accidents and things like that, and reducing the number of access points on the state highways. We talked about that. Those are issues that you'll find in this plan where we talked about in the past when we were coming up with the future land use map about you guys wanting to do some overlays on the highways, just like we've done on 231 and on Bell Buckle Lane, which, you know, it reduces the number of access points. It increases the lot sizes on those two corridors. It improves the aesthetic over time. Those kind of. There's some land uses that are not allowed that are noxious, would be noxious to those kind of things. I mean, we looked at Bell Buckle, like this town of Bell Buckle, because of all the tourism that Bell Buckle gets and how that benefits that amount of revenue that comes into the county as a result of what they do and what they suffer through for a couple of weeks a year, and how that impacts everybody. So essentially, the level of importance to trying to protect that highway corridor from 231 to the town of Bell Buckle was pretty important for us to figure out how to do that without overdoing it and overstepping our boundaries. And so, a lot of people want to stop growth, and we all know in this room that we cannot stop growth. People have a right. People have rights, and we can't cross those lines. But at the same time, we can do things that we think are positive, that people won't, people will see the logic behind it, and they'll understand the benefit of it. They'll understand what we're trying to do from a public safety point of view, from a health and welfare point of view. So if that makes sense. And that's what this book's going to help us do. It's just going to take a while to get there. If we started having public engagement meetings, or even if I did this with you guys and we just tried to pick through this one at a time, it would take us a year. But now that you have a template, and that's what this whole thing is about, it's been about us as staff and working with engineers to build the data so that we can have a template and that we can go from this template, and then people can look at this template and they can say, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that, but that's interesting, and no, I'm not for that, or or vice versa. So that's what we're trying to do, and I think that the way we've done it, it's taken us a long time, and we've suffered through a lot of challenges with COVID and stuff. You wouldn't think that still has an impact on it, but it did. And the good thing, I would say, the only good thing about all those delays was that by 2002, I mean not 2002, but by say 2021, 2022, when I realized that we were just now getting ready to get fired back up on it because of all the employee issues with the engineering firm that we had contracted with. Once we got to that stage, all of the data was old. Everything that we had built prior to that was bad data. It was just all old data. And this county had undergone quite a few significant changes over that period of time. And so had we just moved and trudged forward with what we had and just kept it going, I would have had this plan to you 2 years ago. But we didn't. I made them change it all. I made them update everything. All of the data is modern data. All the census data is modern census data. Everything that you'll see in here is all modern data. So
Is this a state, it's a state law, we have to do that?
it's a state law, we have to
20
do it. Mhm.
All right, is you have a deadline, a goal deadline maybe?
I don't really want to put a deadline on it because I don't want to, it's too important for us to cut corners on it.
What's,
And I do think that what I would like to do is just start with, like I said, the first, just the existing conditions and the first section with the population employment. I'd like for us to start with those first, and we'll just work on those until we get it done, and then we'll take the next one. And all of them after that are all gonna be meaty, so you might not get through them in one meeting, but you might, because there may be it may just make sense right off the bat, and you'd be, oh, okay, I'm good with that.
would be a necessity of, more meetings?
I would think we could, and that'll be up to the chairperson. As we're moving good and everything's moving smooth, and you just want to do it month to month, that's fine. If you want to have some special call meetings where we can come in and try to knock this out as quick as you can, that's up to y'all.
So Chris, one of my questions is, this is very detailed, so how is are we gonna make this available on our website? If we're gonna get public comment, how do we make sure they have the time to read it and understand it instead of just coming in and asking questions?
Well, I initially was thinking about putting it on the website, and I think I may have put that in the agenda, I'm not sure, but I was thinking about putting it on the website. And there's two things that I want to make clear, and that is the public will have the same opportunity that you have, independent of you guys, in their own meetings. That's when they will be making the comments. During this period of time where you guys are going through it, I would probably just limit comments to just general comments or whatever, because I don't want to confuse what they're saying with, and also I don't want them to avoid coming to their own meetings where they're gonna have a bigger voice, you know what I'm saying? So I really wanna pay special attention to the public engagement and make sure that they have their seat at the table. You know, and I've always heard in government is that if you're not sitting at the table, you're on the table. And so the public has an opportunity to sit at the table. They need to sit at the table and have a fair shot at having some meaningful input into this plan. So, but the main thing I don't want is, I don't want something that looks very official to be circulated and people later try to use this in a way that it's not even been adopted by the time they got it. So I'm a little concerned about it, but I'll do whatever you want me to do. If you want me to put it on the website, I'll put it on the website.
We can vote on that, but I still think there's gotta be a period that they get a chance to.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, if we say we're gonna have a meeting in 30 days, maybe they get a week to review it, so when they come in, it's beneficial.
I'm definitely gonna put, starting tomorrow, I'm definitely gonna put some detailed information on the website about it, and I'll work with John and see if we can do some social media outreach to let people know that they can direct them to the website so they can learn as much about it as possible. Definitely doing that anyway. But you tell me, if you want me to put the full plan, a PDF copy of the plan on there, I will do that. And I'll just put something across, you know, I just should try to put some on every single page, you know, it's like, but I can try to do that.
Is there a way that Josh can video you just saying what this is really for, and then that can be part of our website so people don't misconstrue it, just like you're explaining to us? And then they can have an understanding this isn't something we're approving today. We want comments from the public. We want this commission to have comments. I think when you put stuff in writing, people get confused reading it. I think if you took 10 minutes behind a video and said, this is what we're trying to accomplish over the next ever how many months it takes, that would give them an understanding, like it's not being force-fed to them, that they will have a voice.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that as long as Josh is willing to do it. But I was gonna work with John.
I mean, I know you don't like to talk, but I just thought that would be.
I actually don't like to talk. So I just have to do it for a
I think
living, so.
if it came as a video, it would be accepted
Yeah.
better. People would have a better understanding of what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I'm 100% willing to do that. Whatever it takes. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, and that's the reason why I wanted to say up front, I will make no changes to this draft even when as you guys vote on them, we'll just keep up with, and we'll keep a spreadsheet that has everything on there that you guys have voted to, to recommend as modifications. And then, I don't want you guys voting on the full package of what we'll actually change as amendments until you've had the opportunity to see what the public has offered. And if any of you guys want to attend any of the public engagement too, it'd be, I guess the more time you spend on it, the better you'll be. And I'm sure there'll be commission members who probably want to do the same thing. And of course, they're members of the public too, so they can do the same thing that, that anybody else is doing. So, it'll just be, I'll just try to figure out, and I'll probably get with some other people and try to figure out, the times of the day. We'll probably, I don't want to do stuff during business hours because most people can't come during business hours. But there'll be people that'll complain because they say, well, I go to bed at 5 o'clock at night or whatever, and I didn't get to go. So I don't know what we'll end up doing, and we may end up having just like one meeting that's not too late, it may be 5 o'clock or something, may do one meeting at 5, and then the rest of them meet at the same time, like 7 or something, and that way we can try to get as many people as we can to them. But anyway, yeah, I think it's, I'll start working on that with John Carney and Josh Carney. As of tomorrow, we'll try to map out some instructions and some information.
Are you gonna tell us from meeting to meeting what sections we're gonna go over for that next meeting?
Yeah, I think for now, for this next meeting, if you wanna mark it in your book, I would, let's look at what is titled under introduction on page 1 through 4.
Controlling the opportunities and population, yeah.
And then the population and employment element, which would be 6 through, how about, let's not do the whole thing, because that's a big one. Well, no, that's 6 through 32. That's pages 6 through 32. Then the tourism and recreation element would be starting on
1 through
page 32.
32?
Yeah, just look at 1 through page 1 through 32. And if we get, we'll work our way down it until you guys say, say give or whatever, and then we'll go home and we'll pick it up again the next time, whatever y'all want to do. And because I have no idea, knowing right now, and neither do you, like, if you get stuck on number 6 and you just can't get past number 6, whatever that is. And so, so some of these may take a long time, and some of them, so you'll probably breeze through most of it, though, I would think.
Okay.
So that makes sense? 32.
We shouldn't get stuck on data.
You shouldn't.
So I need to make a motion. I cut our public comment, and I did not realize that legislative had changed on 3/26. I thought it was 5/26. So it does not have to be on the agenda for public comment.
Okay.
I would like to ask the board to allow our speaker to give comments for her 3 minutes while she's sat so patiently. And I apologize for making you sit.
It's okay, there was confusion on both sides. But I do want to continue. We had stopped, because I asked you about the mineral extraction tax that the county is missing, because that's revenue into the county. And these people are operating a rock quarry. There is no doubt about it. I invite each of you to go out there and look at it, to drive by on Highway 64 and just look over. You'll see the piles of rock. This particular one on Highway 64 is in its past its second year of operation, with no plans in sight for there to be a completed project. Nobody's checking on it, nobody's doing progress checks, they're just operating. And they're daring the county to stop them. And I know Chris has said, yes, sue the county, but we are private citizens. It doesn't seem right for private citizens to have to sue the county to make things be right in the county. This is farmland in Greenbelt that's got a rock quarry on it, and they're making a fortune, and you can just watch the traffic. I do want to point out that Smyrna Ready Mix, back in 2022, wanted to do the same thing on Highway 231. And Chris, at that time, you said, because it's quoted in the paper, I guess it's your words, a rock crusher cannot be on agriculturally zoned plots. And we have a rock crusher on agriculturally zoned plots. And if it can happen on Highway 64, if it can happen on Fairfield Pike, then what's to stop Smyrna Ready Mix and Mike Hollinshead from putting some cows out here and saying that they're building a farm pond and doing the exact same thing that everybody else is? And if we have one, and I already know of another group in the county that's watching closely, because if these projects continue, they've already got their permits. And they not only operate in Bedford County, their signs are all over the adjacent counties too. And you know who the biggest builder in the county is, or who I see the biggest builder in the county is. You gotta take a look at it. You gotta take a close look at it. And we gotta fix it. I thank you very much.
Comment?
Yeah, I mean, well, I would make a comment, you know, just respectfully, the difference between Mike Hollinshead and what he wanted to do versus what's happening with the Hawkins is very clear. Mike Hollinshead owns a piece of property that's zoned ag. Everything in the county is zoned ag unless somebody's changed it on their own at some point in time. But the difference is he wasn't farming it and he wasn't asking for a farm exemption. Just because something's zoned ag doesn't make it a farm. And so the Hollinshead property is not a farm. And so, and what he was trying to do is totally different. What he was trying to do is there was basically a borrow pit that was done a long time ago. It was never a commercial quarry. He was trying to actually exercise his rights to what he thought was a grandfathered quarry, a grandfathered commercial quarry. And it's not a grandfathered commercial quarry. It was never a quarry. It was a borrow pit. And I could give you the history of it from the time they were building the highway and what Craig Lynch was doing with it and the deals he made, you know, with different people along the way and that kind of stuff for personal use, for gravel that he was using for his own farm and for farm roads and things like that. At first, it was a pond. It was a trade of the topsoil for a pond, duck ponds, and when Rogers Root Quarry came across the street, his ponds dried up, and then it was just a borrow pit. Said, and so then other people came in and just wanted, you know, he actually had a group come in and crush some gravel out of it for his own farm use. After that, he was trying to allege that it was actually a commercial quarry at some time in operation, and that they had never, you know, there's some case law right now on grandfathered uses that where the laws changed a little bit, where used to if you abandon a grandfathered use for 30 months, then you lose your grandfather. But there's some case law now that says unless you can show that a person intentionally abandons a grandfather's use, then they don't necessarily lose their grandfather. So there's that out there, that's hanging out there. So the main thing we had to do is I actually did the satellite imagery on that property, and I went all the way back to the 80s on it. And I was able to show them definitively, show his attorney definitively, it was never a quarry. It was never a quarry. And so that's the reason why I made the statement that I made, is because, and I don't know that I said it specifically like that, but I'm sure I said something like that because essentially it's the truth. It was land zone agriculture. To have a legitimate commercial quarry in the county, you have to zone it industrial, and that's what that meant. What's happened with the Hawkins is in 2 years ago, in October 2 years ago, they approached us with a set of engineering plans where the ponds are actually engineered by a licensed engineer. We know how deep they are. We know how wide they are. We know what they're supposed to look like when they're done. And they say that they're irrigation ponds. If you've got a farmer as big as they are, they're legitimate. They're as legitimate of a farmer as they come. And when they tell you they've lost in 07 and 08, that they lost the amount of money that they told me that they lost personally from the row crop failures, and that they wanted to build a pond and turn it into an irrigation pond, and they're a farmer, and they declare that they're doing that, I can't put them on a lie detector test. I can't, you know, you have to believe what the farmer's telling you. If it ferrets out that that's not what they're doing, if somebody could prove that, it's a totally different thing. But right now, it looks like it's supposed to look. It's got, I mean, I don't just drive by down the road. She says nobody's monitored. Yes, we do monitor it. And so it looks like it's engineered to look. Yes, there's big piles of rocks because that's what they're doing. They're pulling the rock out of there. Nobody's been able to come to me. There's people following them. There's people that are doing surveillance on them. I know all that. People talk to me all the time. And if any one of them could come with some sort of evidence other than what they just believe is happening or what it looks like is happening, that's a totally different thing. If we felt like that if it was like a legitimate commercial quarry, that's a totally different thing. There are certain things they're not allowed to do, and as far as I know, they're not doing those things. The way we look at it, because I keep, I guess, beating a dead horse about this Right to Farm Act. But in 2014, the Right to Farm Act was changed radically. And, you know, if you haven't read that Shore versus Maple Lane Farms case, go back and look at that case. Look at it, read all the notes from the appellate court, read all the notes from the Chancery Court, read all the notes from the state Supreme Court. And what happened is basically what they were doing on that farm was outside of what was in the definition of farming at that time. So the very next year, as soon as the courts ruled against them, as soon as the state Supreme Court ruled against that farm, the state legislature moved the very next year, 2015, they just changed the definition of agriculture. And now, if they tell us that it supports agricultural operations, it supports agricultural operations until it's proven otherwise.
Chris, take your finger off.
Sorry, I wish I would thought about that before, because it's a pain in the butt. But anyway, if they say they're doing it until they can be proven otherwise. And so I'm open for anybody that wants to bring something out there. If anybody, you don't have to sue the county if you disagree with me, if you disagree with the laws that I'm quoting, or if the procedures or any of that kind of stuff, if you disagree with them, all you gotta do is file an appeal with the Board of Zoning Appeals and appeal my administrative decision. You can do that on the cheap. You don't even have to have an attorney. So, do that first, and if that don't work for you, then you can decide whether you wanna go to Chancery Court and file suit against the county. But, that's how you have to do it, just so you'll know. But essentially, like, I'm not a magician. Like, I don't know everything. But I do know how to do this job, and I do know how to keep the county from getting into a lawsuit unnecessarily that we can't win. And so if the courts ruled otherwise, at the end of the day, this is a decision that the courts would have to decide, not me. I'm trying to keep your taxes from going up. I'm trying to keep from having an unnecessary lawsuit that I don't think we can win. And if I thought that they were doing something wrong, I would have treated them exactly like what I treat Hollis Head, who has, if you think about it from that perspective, he could buy and sell most anybody around here. So if I went against him, you think I wouldn't go against the Hawkins? So
But what's stopping him from buying a new parcel? What's stopping the people 1 mile down the road from where this is?
Right now, those people 1 mile down the road are watching, they're trying to see what's happening. I've been talking to our legislators, they're interested, they're watching too. There's a legislator that's in an adjoining county, and I don't wanna mention anybody's name on record, but who's doing it in a way that I think probably is illegal. And I've stated that, and so I've stated that to all the people that count. I've stated that to the Commissioner TDEC, personally. So, there's a lot that's going on. There's a lot of people that interpret it differently, but in my mind, if it's not a working farm, you don't get the exemption. These people, it's a working farm. They get the exemption if they declare for it, and like I said, it's not like we knew about this a year before anybody complained about it. People were not complaining about it the whole first year. And so, but we knew about it, and we were looking at it, and we were watching it. We had a set of plans. Our attorney, Ginger Bobo's got a copy of all of the plans, of all the engineering. If anybody wants to see any of that stuff, they'd be happy to show it to you. It's not a secret. It's not anything that anybody's trying to hide. It's just the law. And we just have certain things that we can do and certain things we can't do. It's not personal to us. It's personal to you because you live next to it.
But it's also personal to me for the entire county.
Yeah.
Because when one succeeds, it sets the precedent for others. When one succeeds, it sets the precedent for others. It's a circumvented situation, and it's not only gonna be this one, it's gonna continue. And you're correct, it is happening in Marshall County with the official. It's trying to happen in Coffee County with this same group that's doing it in Bedford County now. But I own land. I can make a fortune, because my land is nothing but solid rock. I can dig some ponds too and just happen to have a byproduct that I need to get rid of that's in the way.
I understand it. I understand your concerns. I understand the way it looks. I understand how it must look to other people that have to live around it. But I have to follow the law. I'm not allowed to do anything other than that. And so I can't, it's opinions for me don't mean anything. I have to base it on what I see and what they tell me and what the law says.
But I think the county has to study it and take a stance on what you're willing to do and to allow. It's not changing the law. It's looking at M1 mining operations in an agricultural zone greenbelt. And on top of this, TDEC has given both the location on Highway 64 and the location on Fairfield Pike. TDEC has given them mining permits. They have mining permit numbers.
Well, it's not a mining permit per se, like.
You can look on the
I
TDEC
know what they are,
website.
I have copies of them.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, the Division of Mining is who has to permit it. And so they have to get permits from TDEC. They have water quality and air quality standards they have to meet. In order for them to have jurisdiction to be able to regulate those things, they have to have a permit from that division.
Not mining.
Yes, they have to have a permit from the Department of Mining. They started off, and I'll let you know this, they started off without a permit from the mining department. They started off with a permit from the Division of Water Resources, and they just had a water quality permit, for the water discharge. And TDEC corrected them on that, and they let us know too, that yes, they're not licensing it. They have nothing to do with zoning. The state does not determine whether or not it can be a commercial pit or not. They're just licensing the activity. And what they're doing, even though we're saying it's a Right to Farm Act issue, the state doesn't care anything about the Right to Farm Act in terms of what they do, because they're the state. They don't have to follow the own laws that they pass. They pass those for local government, and we have to abide by them, that they don't. So they don't care that we look at it like it's a Right to Farm Act. They just look at it like the county controls the zoning. They control the water quality and the air quality discharges. And that's what they're doing with this mining permit, because the state corrected them, says you're not properly licensed with us. You need to get your license through the Department of Mining. And that's what they did. And then they turned them back loose.
It's my understanding that the second permit that was issued by TDEC is for the water discharge, where they're watering down the dust and it's running off into the garrison, which is then feeding down and being part of the duct, which is where all these housing buildings that are coming are getting their water supply. But the mining permits came because I called the Department of Mining and I turned them in for their operations over there, and they came and they gave them training and they gave them permit numbers.
Right. The Department of Mining is giving them permits for the mining operation. The Division of Water Resources is giving them a water discharge permit for the water that discharges from the site, basically stormwater. It's the federal government who manages the amount of dust and stuff like that, the air pollution that gets it, basically for the protection of the employees that are on the site, on the mine site. It's 3 different agencies that are doing this.
And the federal government pushes that off on TDEC, and TDEC controls that. And I can give you a list of telephone numbers if you want to call for
I don't
the
need to call
air
them.
quality, for the
I
noise
understand it.
pollution,
I
for
already
the
know all these
highways and the
things.
roads.
So Chris, we gave you your 3 minutes.
I appreciate that.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I apologize, and I
That's
thank you
fine.
guys very much.
Okay, I asked Alan to give us a report on the decentralized and where his committee is and where we move forward. So Alan, I'll turn it over to you.
We're basically, as a committee, we're through. But unlike the growth plan, we do have a deadline. I think it was in the October commission meeting, I think, was that
Probably
the,
closer to, you got
we
a year,
were,
you got a year.
and we had a year. And so, they built a fine committee. I mean, nobody ever missed a meeting. We, heard from, a lot of professionals that educated us, and then we went through some documents from other county, from other, I guess installers and then utility districts, and got their plan, and voted on the issues that I think we needed to vote it on, and then we've turned them over to Chris, and so then I think right now it's in the planning department's hands to build us a document for the planning commission to review, and then also have a public hearing on that, and then have that done by October. And I guess it's on Chris now for another thing he has to do. Do you have any kind of any kind of time on that?
No, I mean, now that I've got this in my hands and we're done, and then I can now move on
I
to some
think
other
the
stuff.
committee would dissolve by October. I don't know that Chris would have to be done by then.
Yeah, I mean, my goal is just to take what they have done,
Right.
Casey,
Get it written up.
provided me with that stuff.
I-
Take what they've done and, you know,
I mean, we-
convert it into
I
an
thought we had
agenda
to
for you
present
guys.
a plan
We,
to the,
it'll be a
I'm
year,
not
I
sure.
think we need to present it to the commission.
Yeah, it's
That's
got-
what they voted on as far as the members on the committee, so
We've got to present
they've
something.
done their job by May, that gives us, what, 4 or 5 months to present it? I think in that time period, we should be able to send that to the commission.
Yeah,
And
I'll
I'm
try
not
to
sure
have,
about the
have it
October
to you,
date. I'd have to look.
within it for at least a month or two. And, essentially, my goal is just to draft it into a report form from their committees in the verbiage and language that you guys would understand for this type of, for this body.
And it would be part of the subdivision regs.
Yeah,
would we vote on it and then have a public hearing, or can have it be the same time?
well, we need to do a public hearing whenever we get ready to vote on it, if we, to
Yeah,
adopt it
yeah,
into the
we could have that
subregs.
Possibly at the same meeting.
Yeah, you could, yeah. We just have to know, so we publish it, you know. The public meeting with the public hearing has to be published differently.
So can we, make a motion that we will have that ready for August? Is that too soon?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
August is fine.
So do we have a motion to make the decentralized system,
I like that.
committed to the commission
I'll
by
make a
August
motion.
meeting?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
That's great.
And that'll give us a month, and then they can present it to the commission.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Long meeting. We're gonna have a bunch of them the next few months. Thank you, Chris, for staying diligently after the engineers who tried to slide out from under us. I got a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.